Welcome back to BVarsity Live. I'm Zach Ewing with Trevor Horn. We have talked to the Ridgeview High School basketball team. Now we have in studio with us the Assistant Athletic Director and Facilities Director at Garces, Vince Fanucchi. And this time of year, Vince is better known as the director of the Garces Holiday Soccer Festival, which is the biggest high school soccer tournament in the country. How many teams do you have this year, Vince?
There'll be 148 at the tournament this weekend.
You couldn't get to 150? Slacker? Come on.
Well, a couple of weekends ago, we did the JV portion with another 25. So
we're talking
total 173 this year.
Very, very cool. 173 and uses fields all over the city, for all the way from Kern County Soccer Park down to using State Farm this year as well.
We're using State Farm. Actually, tomorrow we'll have some games out in McFarland and Wasco.
Oh, wow. So the whole county now,
yeah, and then on Saturday it all consolidates down to the Kern County Soccer Park, State Farm, Sports Village, Garces, and Stockdale.
Yeah, and we've had we had Vince on the show last year before the tournament as well. So it begins tomorrow, goes through Saturday. Championship round is at 2:30 Saturday afternoon.
Yes.
Most of the top divisions out at Kern County Soccer Park as far as championships, right?
Yes.
That's where most of the games will be, and it's such a good time. I mean, you get such a great mix of teams in here. And at this point, I think I recall you saying last year, as far as getting teams here, it sells itself at this point. Is that correct?
You know, we started in 1990 with about 50 teams, and, you know, we've grown to 173 this year, and it's all word of mouth. We don't go out looking for them. In fact, I've got 6 schools that told me if something opens up before tomorrow, call them, and, you know, if they can make it, they'd like to come. So
yeah. Now, that sort of late switch is not common, though, I wouldn't think.
No, not at this point.
Yeah.
A little earlier in the week, I told them to hold on. Every once in a while, somebody, you know, we got so many teams coming from all over the state, something happens and they can't get transportation or something. But, you know, everybody should be there tomorrow.
Who's coming from the farthest away?
Okay. Sutter High School, I think, up in
Yeah.
Northern California, up near the Oregon border, I think. And
They're playing some football this weekend.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, and then I think Pleasant Valley,
Out of
I
Chico?
think. Yeah, that's they're both boys and girls teams are coming.
Who went to Pleasant Valley?
Aaron Rodgers,
There you
who's
go.
going to be in Oakland this weekend. So maybe Aaron Rodgers will make an appearance before he goes up to play the Rays. I doubt it, but that would be fun. So it's become such a big deal. Now, this is the silver anniversary then, right? 25th anniversary.
No, actually last year was.
Okay, so this will be the 26th tournament.
This year,
Yeah. 25 years since the beginning, but 26th tournament. Not, it's become such a big deal. Do you ever step back and look at it and say, "Gosh, from the roots that it came from to how big it is now, such an amazing progress."
I never would have anticipated, 26 years ago that
But
it
you
would
doing
grow.
it, it's still probably
Yeah, that's true. Each year it's a new challenge. There's somebody asked me one time if it gets boring just because the same thing over and over again. But I told him almost every tournament's been a little bit different than the one the year before in terms of formats and that sort of thing. So it keeps my interest.
Yeah.
Just so people kind of get a good grasp of what you're doing, when do you start prepping for next year's tournament?
I'll start next week.
That's incredible. It's a 12-month process
takes,
for you to get this 2-day tournament off.
Yeah, I'll probably put a little bit of work into it every week between now and the next one. The time-consuming part is, the teams are all broken up into 8-team divisions.
Right.
And so you've got to get the right schools in the right divisions to keep the tournament competitive. So the off season, I get all the results from, I've got the league results of every team in the tournament, all the playoff results. Thank God for Max Preps.
Yeah.
That's where I can pull a lot of this stuff.
Right.
And then I spend the rest of the year just juggling people around, making sure that they're in the right divisions.
And you get some people say we don't want to be that high, or we'd rather be higher.
Usually, yeah. Once I send things out at the beginning of the school year, then I'll get contacts from schools, and they'll tell me we were very good last year, but we graduated 10 seniors, and we think we ought to be down a division, or in some cases up a division. And
Sure.
So I try to accommodate as much of that as I can.
Now, on that note, the girls' elite division, which is the top division, only has 6 teams this year versus 8. Did you not have enough teams who wanted to be up there? Or?
That was pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah. I had some teams I wanted to put in there, but they were kind of leery about their competitiveness this year. I don't like that kind of a division, but we were forced to this year. In the future, we won't. In fact, I don't like having to use a point system to figure out, if there's ties. So what I just contacted the schools in that division with earlier in the week, if we get a tie, we're just going to declare co-champions. But then in terms of who gets the first, second trophies, we're going to have an immediate shootout at the end of the tournament to distribute the trophies.
Oh, okay. That'll be dramatic.
So here you have, at 4:45, you have 3 different matches tomorrow, 3 different games tomorrow. Central versus Stockdale. It's a home game for Stockdale.
Yes.
And then out at Kern County Soccer Park, Field 8, you have Chaminade versus Frontier, and San Luis Obispo versus Liberty right next door on Field 9. And then they'll all play around robin on Saturday.
Yes. Yeah, everybody doesn't get a chance to see everybody, and that's why you have to, if you'd have to go down to a point system.
Right, a true round robin, everybody have to play 5
Yeah,
games.
and
which
we
is
just
not
don't have the time
Yeah.
for it. What I tried to do with that division, since we had 3 local teams in it, I tried to set it up so that they would get a chance to see the 3 out-of-town teams.
Right.
Chaminade's was very good last year. I think they went deep into the SoCal
Yeah, they may be the
playoffs.
favorite in that division if you had to name
I
one.
would think so at this point, yeah.
How about on the boys' side? Tell us a little bit about the elite division on that side.
On the that side, we've got there's more local representation in it. Very honestly, I've been so busy putting this thing together, I haven't had much of a chance to follow what's going on in the season so far. Out of area, we've got Pioneer Valley coming from over on the coast. They were very good last year. San Luis Obispo is coming from over there.
Arroyo Grande, you have in there.
Arroyo Grande.
Yeah,
is
and the
another
local
one.
teams, Liberty, led by goalkeeper Trevor Peterson.
Yes.
Who's a big-bodied goalkeeper for them. Centennial's also in the elite. Miles Burdef, returning midfielder, first-teamer for us last year on BVarsity. So you got a couple good teams in there, and then obviously BHS, always a tough team there in the elite also. And then on the girls' side, you look at Frontier with Kristen Mariquois. But they've got a freshman goalie this year, so I think they're going to go through some bumps and bruises. And then Liberty, if you look at Bailey Cockrell, their senior goalkeeper has 0 goals against in 7 games this year. The Patriots are 3-0-4 right now, so it'll be interesting to see if anybody can score a goal on Liberty this weekend on the girls' side.
Yeah, it's when I try to put the tournament together, I want, whether it's the top division or the lowest division, I want competitive games. And I think with the people you just mentioned and the schools that are coming in, that should be a very competitive division. But, some years, some of the most exciting games are coming from the silver and bronze divisions.
Absolutely, yeah.
It just depends on who's playing who at the end. And oftentimes, schools that you might not have even noticed in the tournament will go on and be Valley champions in divisions 5 and 6. And
Frontier, the last couple of years, was not in the elite division, and then they went on to win.
That's
at least
correct.
The girls I'm talking about went on to win at least one section championship in those years. And that's what's so great about it, is there's so many different levels of play, and generally competitive as you put it together. Now, when you started this, were you a soccer fan, or were you just sort of thrown into the role?
I was at an athletic directors meeting, and Don Harrison, who back then was the head of the local Kern School District, asked if there was anybody that wanted to put on a Christmas soccer tournament. The school that had been doing it decided they didn't want to, and I volunteered to do it, and I passed around a sign-up sheet expecting maybe to see 12, 13 teams on it. By the time I got back, there were 35 on it. And then I had to start really thinking about how to do it. I enjoy watching soccer, but if you ask me about the rules,
You're not a diehard. By any means,
no, I'm I'm the guy sitting in the stands yelling that really doesn't know what they're talking
Right,
about.
right. I mean, but I think you almost can't help but to grow to appreciate a sport more.
Oh, sure.
Working with the people and then watching all the games.
Oh,
as well.
yes, yeah. It's amazing to see the level of soccer, and then later on to realize that some of those kids have gone on and are playing in college, and it's a fun experience.
Yeah.
The 2 days of it are, I don't get to really see that much soccer
Sure.
during the 2 days, but I always want to be in a position to watch the finals. And over the years, we've had some tremendous finals on the boys and girls sides in the upper divisions.
The first event I ever covered at the California was in December of 2007, and it was the Garces soccer tournament. And I remember, so the final started at 2:30 or 3, right around the same time they start now. And it was probably 65 degrees that day, and I thought, this is the California life, right? Coming from Missouri, and I'm going to wear a T-shirt out to cover a soccer tournament in December, and I was fine until about halftime. And I'll tell you what, by the time I got out of there, I've never been colder in my entire life.
Because the sun
starts to set behind those hills.
As soon as the sun goes behind those hills, it changes dramatically.
And you do not want to wear a T-shirt out there. I'll tell you that. At least bring layers. Now, in the early years of this, we're on your email chain for this, and you're talking about hotels these teams can stay at. What divisions do you want to be in? All various things, awards you have, sponsorships you have. How did you do all that before the internet? I mean, before email, was it all phone calls? Did you have a phone tree?
That's really what it was, and just snail mail.
Yeah.
It made the communication a little bit more difficult. The advent of the internet and like I say, things like Max Preps and email and all that really,
As it
I
made
think
our jobs easier, yeah. I mean,
it began to grow.
Don't shut it down,
through
Donald
that.
Trump.
Because suddenly something that would have taken 3 days to work out, now you could get done in 5 minutes on the on email.
And
So
it's really amazing. It's a cool deal. And do you let yourself? You say you always make a point to watch some of the finals, which is really cool. When it's all said and done and the cleanup is done and people are on their ways back home, do you have a tradition where you sort of celebrate the end of another good tournament, or do you have anything you do to
actually what I do at the end of both days, I go back up to school. I put all the results together, get them off to you guys and anybody that on the email chain. I do the same thing on Saturday night. So even though the tournament will end around 4:30, I'll probably work another couple of hours to get everything out because I would know that you guys are all on deadlines.
Sure.
And an interesting compliment I got from a coach one time that was traveling from up north. He said, I go to tournaments, he said, where it might be weeks before I ever see any official results.
Sure.
And he goes, I got mine before we even got off the bus on the trip home.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That's awesome.
I think that's all. It's part of, I think, what makes tournament popular is how well organized it is.
So you said, but nothing as far as a meal you eat or anything like that?
Well, what it will probably come up on Saturday is a beer and watching the De La Salle football game on TV.
Go. There you go, and probably the best NFL Sunday of the year because there's for 1 week there's nothing to worry about.
Exactly.
And then until the end of Christmas, and then all of a sudden the next week you'll have to start working on 2016. But another year, and it really seems, Vince, like it's a labor of love, and I don't think this community appreciates you enough. So, we appreciate everything you do for the tournament and for us, and good luck on another year.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It'll be a hectic couple of days, but it'll be well worth it, I think, when it's all done.
Vince Fanucchi is the Assistant Athletic Director at Garces and the Director of the Garces Holiday Soccer Festival, which begins tomorrow at places all over the county. Trevor, we're going to have a schedule in the paper tomorrow, at least some sort of one.
Yeah,
and
I'm
we
gonna
can
try to
direct
do as
people to the
composite
Garces
as
website,
possible.
which has the schedule
Yes,
as well, and brackets and everything if you're interested in that. And it's affordable to get in. It's a cool show. You can get in and watch any number of games you want to at any of these sites.
Yeah, at the soccer park, I
Yeah.
think it's $6 a car and $25 an RV. But once you're in, you've got access to all 21 fields.
You could watch, and you're talking about, 3 different games at each field, or on Saturday anyway? And then
on Saturday,
Yeah.
there'll be 4 rounds, 4 rounds on Friday also.
So
some under
you
the
could
lights.
quite literally watch close to 100 soccer games, at least parts of them, for $6 at this thing.
Yes.
That's the other cool part about it. Well, again, we appreciate it. We're going to be back on BVarsity Live with our last segment. We're going to let Vince go and let him finish up all his last-minute preparations for the Garces Holiday Soccer Festival. We'll be right back after this.
Okay.